I am keenly aware of the fact that many of you have been waiting for this analysis over the Mwangi Kiunjuri affair. And while I sincerely apologize for keeping you waiting, the truth is, I was still trying to get organized. You see, before I make a video, I always try my best to ensure that I have my ducks in a row. I dig around, I ask questions. Many times I don't come up with much. But quite often I come up with a little. And that little that I get, I go back and do a little more digging. Until I'm sure, even if I've not answered all the questions, but at least I'm sure I have my ducks in a row, including the ducks of unanswered questions. But at least I can see the whole thing and understand it. Because if I don't, it'll obviously show in a video. So let's get down to it without wasting any more time. Now I heard somebody saying, a CS whose firing was long overdue was fired. So what? No big deal. Kenyans are idlers. They're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Well, I don't agree. Yesterday was a very big deal. Oh yes, very big. For starters, it is not every day the president addresses the nation. No. When the president addresses the nation, it's a very big deal. And remember, if it was an issue of just firing people, a press statement would have been released. That is precisely how the others have been hired and fired. Press statements. And Kenyans all over the country interpreted it correctly. Because Hezron called me and said, hey, Chris, kila mahali naenda nasikia sauti ya Uhuru. He's addressing the nation. Kwani nini mbaya? So let's break down this big deal that was full of coded messages from both sides of the political divide. Oh yes, there was a response from Team Tanga almost immediately. Now in my view, there were three very significant things in this address to the nation that we need to take careful note of. Number one, the economic stimulus package announced and launched by the president. Number two, the firing of agricultural CS, former agricultural CS, Mwangi Kiunjuri. Number three, the hiring of former Nyeri Senator Mutahi Kagwe into the cabinet. Now let's start with the most important, but the one which people are least interested in. The economy. Yes, believe it or not. When most people come to YouTube, they don't want to hear about the economy. That is boring. Which is sad, but that's just the way things are. So I'll deal with that very quickly. 2 sentences, 3 maximum. It is good that the government is at least trying to do something, to deal with the suffering of the vast majority of Kenyans. But I'm afraid, in my view, it is too little, too late. And it makes me fear that the government and those in power may not be fully aware, of just how bad things are. Let me just leave it at that. You know, when your house catches fire, and then you send somebody to get some water with a small 1-liter bottle, then you wonder whether the person is serious about putting out the fire. Or perhaps they're not fully aware of how serious the fire already is. Let's just leave it there. Now let's deal with Mwangi Kiunjuri last. So let's move on to Mutahi Kagwe's re-entry into the Kenyan cabinet. Yes, because Mheshimiwa was in Mwai Kibaki's cabinet. And according to me, he performed very well. In fact, exceptionally. Because to cut a long story short, we have cheaper calls these days and faster internet connections, thanks to the struggle and hard work of Mutahi Kagwe in the Mwai Kibaki cabinet. And that is a fact. Now, the appointment of Mutahi Kagwe has a very serious and loud coded message. Let me take you back to the year 2017 and the Jubilee nominations. If you'll allow me to remind you, there's a group of very popular politicians from Central Province and the Mount Kenya region who lost the Jubilee nominations under very mysterious and bizarre circumstances. We now know, if we want to believe David Murathe, the former Jubilee vice chair, that the reason why these popular politicians lost was because of fiddling of the Jubilee nominations. According to Murathe, this fiddling was orchestrated, managed, organized by William Samoei Ruto. Now, if that allegation was coming from somebody in ODM or from a person who was outside Jubilee at the time, then we might have taken it with a pinch of salt. But this allegation came from a Jubilee insider, a very high-ranking Jubilee insider. So we have to take it seriously. According to Murathe, this fiddling was to organize for the 2022 elections, in that it was designed to put Deputy President William Samoei Ruto appointment and women in place in Central Province in preparation for his bid for the presidency. And of course, all that makes sense. And Ruto supporters, please don't get my feelings. That is politics. Kenya style. Because if it was Raila Odinga, maybe he would have done the same thing. Anyway, let me remind you of something else I'm sure you've forgotten. These popular politicians from Central Province who had been rigged out of the nominations, Jubilee nominations, went to see the president at State House. And it is said they presented evidence to prove their case. And not only that, they named the main person who engineered their rigging. And that person was, wait for this one, Mwangi Kiunjuri. Now, this presents a very interesting political situation for us to look at. It seems that the president, in the mighty major battle for Central Province, with the deputy president, is going to use the losers, or rather the winners of the Jubilee nominations who were shortchanged in 2017, which makes perfect sense. These are very popular people. Oh yes, in Central Province. Many of them are very respected politicians of the ground. So it makes perfect sense, and it looks like it will work 100%. But hold on a minute. There's a problem. Things have changed on the ground. In Central Province and the greater Mount Kenya region, if you want to get the attention of people in this region, touch the economics. Utajua haujui. Simply do something that affects their businesses, something that affects their livelihoods. And you will see, they will change, they will do an about turn overnight, and you'll find yourself on the receiving end. Ask former President Daniel Arap Moi. Moi did many things. Central Province people were quiet. Some even began singing the Nyayo songs in praise of President Moi. And then Moi, who was always very paranoid of the Kikuyu, was advised by somebody. The House of Mumbi people are very crafty. They will not show you their true feelings until it is too late for you. So to ensure you really control them, make sure that you take away their power, their financial and economic power. And there is evidence that actually the Moi regime did a few things very deliberately to crush Kikuyu-owned businesses and industries. Now, make no mistake about it, my in-laws are a very resilient people. The colonialists could not manage them. So who was Moi? Many of the big boys in Central Province shifted into the horticultural business. And they became very successful. Brought in a lot of valuable foreign exchange in the country. But meanwhile, notice, this was an export business. chances of government interfering with it were minimal. Very smart. But the damage was done on the ground. And the House of Mumbi and the Mount Kenya region reacted appropriately. And history will record that is when Moi started getting serious problems, serious opposition to his dictatorial government. And that is when the Kenneth Matibas and Charles Rubias of Kenya emerged, and many others. And that was the beginning of the end of Moi's dictatorial regime. Fast forward to the present. The current problems, economic problems in Central Province and the Mount Kenya region, have not been caused by the government. In other words, the Jubilee government has not done anything deliberate to finish the Kikuyus economically. They have not. They have not done what Moi did deliberately. However, Team Tanga have managed to convince some people on the ground that they are suffering because of the mismanagement of the Jubilee government. Now, assuming that is true, I have a very simple question to ask. These people in Team Tanga, were they not involved in that mismanagement of the economy by the Jubilee government? Were they not bang in the middle of the Jubilee government? In fact, were they not at the forefront of many of the things that happen within the Jubilee government that may have affected Central Province? Simple question. But strangely enough, the people in Central Province are not seeing it like that. They seem to be convinced that these Team Tanga characters are their saviors. They'll be able to correct the situation. Now, of course, that's very ridiculous. But that is the situation on the ground. And therefore, these Jubilee winners, who ended up losers because they were rigged out, will have a very tough time turning around the situation in the Mount Kenya region. But bottom line, that was a very significant coded message. Removing Mwangi Kiunjuri and replacing him with Mutahi Kagwe, who is seen by many as the leader of this disgruntled popular politician from Central Province, who was shortchanged in the Jubilee nominations in 2017. And of course, the good news for Kenyans is that Mutahi Kagwe is a performer. If there's anybody in Kenya with a fighting chance of helping this government turn around, if not the whole situation, at least a bit of the situation, then that man has to be Mutahi Kagwe. And I'm not overpraising him. He has a track record to prove it. Now, the Mwangi Kiunjuri affair is the one full of drama. Because the first thing is that when you're appointed by somebody and then fired by the same person, there is no need to call a press conference. You didn't call a press conference when you're appointed. Why call one when you're fired? Doesn't make sense to me. Now, Mwangi Kiunjuri, in what he said, confessed that he consulted widely before making his remarks at that press conference. Now, that makes sense to me, because you and me have a very good idea who he consulted. You and I have a very good idea who gave him the words to give at that particular press conference. In fact, Mwangi Kiunjuri has never in his entire political career had such a strategic press conference. Oh yes, I challenge anybody on this channel, go back and tell me when Mwangi Kiunjuri had a presser like this one. You give a statement full of coded messages, coded threats, and then when you ask questions, you say nothing. You don't answer a single question. When did Mwangi Kiunjuri have a similar press conference? Never. It has never happened before. In other words, Team Tanga interpreted the president's address to the nation as a direct attack against them. And they chose Mwangi Kiunjuri to respond on behalf of Team Tanga. Sample some of the statements he made. He said that in future, if he's provoked, he will spill the beans. He will say there are a lot of things he needs to say. He also said, something to the effect that you keep cool, I'll also stay cool. Yeah? Now he was telling who to stay cool so that he also stays cool. Ask yourself that question. Yeah? He was responding to his sacking. And therefore, the only person he could have been addressing, yeah, was the president. Pure and simple. In other words, what Mwangi Kiunjuri was telling us was that yes, Mr. President, you have fired me, but going forward, be careful because I can also do damage. That's really what he was saying. And it is a total shame. According to me, in my view, it is just rubbish. Forgive my language, but the president appointed you. And when he appointed you, you didn't call a press conference. And because the president appointed you, you are supposed to do your duties, perform your duties according to the one who appointed you. So now when you get fired and you start calling press conferences, what are you really doing? What are you telling us? What are you showing us? Unless you're telling us you're better than the person who appointed you, that it is in fact you who should be the boss. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense to me. You know, it is like you're the wife, yeah, and you have hungry children to feed and to take to school, and then your husband comes home and he tells you he has been fired, but he's not surprised he has been fired. What? If I'm your wife, I'll just slap you. What are you saying? In accepting an appointment, you accept to serve that person, yeah, who represents the people of Kenya. And you accept to serve according to his conditions, according to his will, according to his preferences, because we all have different preferences. Yeah, but you're focused on his, yeah, to do what will please him, to do the job according to the person who appointed you. Then you come and you tell me you're not surprised you're fired. What? Why did you accept the appointment in the first place? And why did you not resign in good time? When you lost respect for your boss, you should have resigned immediately. Unless, of course, you wanted to remain there and pretend you're with the president. But maybe, just maybe, you are a mole for the president's enemies. And that is why you didn't resign. You know, I'm not surprised that this statement by Mwangi Kiunjuri has made very many Kenyans angry. And many of those Kenyans who are angry are not supporters of Uhuru Kenyatta. No. They're just level-headed Kenyans. And this does not make sense to them, just the way it doesn't make sense to me. In my view, Mwangi Kiunjuri was very confused in making the press statement he made yesterday, because it looked like he had been forced out of a party position, Jubilee party position, where he had been duly elected. But that is not the case. He was appointed, and he was appointed to serve the people of Kenya, not himself, not one part of the political divide. No, he was appointed to serve the good people of Kenya. And therefore, if he was sincere and he felt that he had to call a press conference, what he would have said at that press conference, he would have started by apologizing to the people of Kenya for where he may have failed them. Yeah, maybe doesn't know where he failed them so that the president fired him. But he should have started by apologizing just in case to the people of Kenya for where he failed in serving them. Yeah, but instead what did he do? It was a statement of thumb-chesting, coded threats, and telling us he was not surprised that he was fired. What rubbish. Anyway, to sum it all up, yesterday's address to the nation was the president repositioning himself, yeah, for the fight, political fight, in Mount Kenya with Team Tanga. In my view, he launched a new assault, yeah, led by the winners of 2017 Jubilee nominations, the real winners who were rigged out. And as I've said, they're not going to find it easy, yeah, to turn things around in the Mount Kenya region. However, it's going to be one hell of a battle. Super fascinating to watch and analyze. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha. Now the story illustrates just how critical and important a good idea is. According to me, a good idea, a brilliant idea, is everything. Bramall took a SACCO loan. Yeah, those are the cooperative organizations where workers take loan. Many workers have access to these SACCOs, their members. Yeah, we call them SACCOs in Kenya. These are savings and credit organizations, usually formed by groups of people, yeah, to save and borrow, yeah, and enhance their lives, improve their financial standing. Now, I firmly believe that SACCOs are the unsung heroes of our economy. Now, Bramall's approach in starting a business was very different. People say that Kenyans don't read, but Bramall used to read a lot. And he never read widely, he read just about one particular topic. He loved to read about success stories, business success stories. On weekends, he'd spend hours on the internet, yeah, researching stories from all over the world. Yeah. Sometimes he also read about businesses that had failed. Yeah. And that is how he came across the book titled 101 Brilliant Business Ideas That Will Thrive in Kenya. But even before he came across this book, he knew that whatever business he'd start one day would be based on a good idea, an excellent idea, a brilliant idea. Now, when he read the book, one particular idea intrigued him. It intrigued him because every morning, as he took the matatu to work, he used to notice signs put up all over the place, not very far from where he lived, which said property not for sale. And he knew that those signs were put up there by the owners of those plots and pieces of land, because there had been cases where conmen had moved in and sold land that did not belong to them to other people. The problem had even gotten so serious that some of these owners of pieces of land had employed lookouts to look out for anybody coming to show potential buyers pieces of land that did not belong to them. But the main reason why this particular idea had blown his mind away was because he had always dreamt of building rental houses. But he knew very well, based on his very small salary, there was no way he was going to do that in a hurry. He knew, or he thought, it would take him very many years. And so, before even he took out the SACCO loan, he started trying to get in touch with the owners of these pieces of land where these signs were. It was not easy to get in touch with these people, but finally he got in touch with one person who was very interested in the proposal he had, because what Bramall told him made a lot of sense, yeah, and he had gotten the whole idea from the book. And this is what he had told the owner of the plot, yeah. You're spending money on signs on this piece of land that you are not ready yet to develop, yeah, and now you're even spending more money on lookouts, yeah. You're paying people kitu kidogo to look out and make sure that any suspicious people, yeah, coming to view your land, you're informed immediately. Now I can save you all that money because we can get into an arrangement where you lease this piece of land for me, yeah, I'm going to use it, and we agree on what period of time so that you'll already start earning income on it instead of spending money, yeah, and when you're ready to build, I'll of course hand it over back to you. We'll put everything down in a contract. It made a lot of sense. Now what Bramall did, he built semi-permanent houses, which are a lot cheaper to construct. And they agreed with the owner of the piece of land that he would give him annual leases for just 1 year. And this of course will be renewable if the owner of the piece of land is not yet ready to develop it. And so Bramall waited until his annual leave was due, and then he took out the SACCO loan and got to work. And he built very nice semi-permanent houses, okay? And unfortunately, 1 month flew by. It went very fast, but at least he had some units, about 8 to 9 of them, on the piece of land he had leased by the time his annual leave ended. And very fortunately for him, most of them got tenants immediately. Although things did not go according to his plan, Yeah, because he had projected to finish all the 20 units he had in mind by the time his leave ended, and he only ended up finishing 8 to 9. But at least there was some income already coming in. Enough income to cover his monthly SACCO repayment of the loan and also to leave him with something small. And he still had the lump sum he had taken on the SACCO loan. The money was still there in his bank. And so on weekends and evenings, he continued with the construction. The long and short of it is that Bramwell repaid the SACCO loan very comfortably and made a very good profit. And on the second year, the owner of the piece of land was still not ready, and therefore he renewed the lease for the second year, which of course was much more profitable for Bramwell than the first year, because there was no construction going on. He had finished, and it was just now a matter of collecting rent. Folks, an idea is everything, and not everybody is creative. Not everybody can come up with great ideas, even if they do a lot of reading. Therefore, Bramwell was very, very grateful for this book, 101 Brilliant Business Ideas. Folks, don't keep on postponing your success. Don't keep on postponing the effort to try and improve your financial situation, whatever it is today. Now, I hope that this video has also been valuable, that you've learned one or two things that will help you on your road to success. And always remember, an idea is everything.